Did you know that Charlotte Tilbury Beauty was the first beauty brand and the first female-founded brand to sponsor Formula One's all-female division? Welcome to the Cosmetic Chronicles, the podcast where history meets beauty and tells the amazing stories behind some of the world's most notorious brands. I'm your host, Sarah Carvalho, and I'm a beauty journalist who has been obsessed with makeup since my first swipe of mascara. In this episode, we're covering Charlotte Tilbury Beauty, the brand started by the world-renowned makeup artist, and also the brand that's now become synonymous with the words pillow talk and darling. This is a super special episode because I have my first ever guest. We're going to be chatting with makeup artist and beauty writer Khera Alexander. Khera is a huge fan of the Charlotte Tilbury brand, and so I knew I wanted to have her on. I wanted to know her thoughts on the brand, not just as a writer, but also as a makeup artist. I wanted her inside knowledge of the best products of the line and her opinions on where she thinks the brand is going to go next. So definitely stay tuned to hear our conversation. I'm so thrilled that we were able to get her on. All right, before we get to that, let's start at the beginning. Right at the top of the episode, I want to say a huge thank you to the brand themselves. They were kind enough to send me their iconic products, and I can't wait to show you them in action over on my Instagram. So make sure you keep an eye on my Instagram page this week at Glow and Flow by Sarah. I also link in my show notes as well. We're going to be playing with a lot of these products, so definitely make sure you keep an eye out. And again, huge thank you to the team at Charlotte Tilbury for sending me those products. I really appreciate it. So we obviously can't talk about Charlotte Tilbury Beauty without talking about the woman herself. So born in London and raised in Ibiza, Charlotte grew up in a very, what she called, creative bohemian circle. Lots of artists, fashion people, photographers, you name it. And she says this is where she first clocked the power of beauty. Her father, Lance, was a painter, and her mother, Patsy, was a fashion producer, so she always knew she would pursue a creative career. She said, quote, "My father was an artist, and I was brought up around a lot of fashion people, rock stars, hippies, a very eclectic childhood. That really informed my thinking from a young age. I was obsessed with glamour. My mother loved red lipstick. I was also fascinated by the power of certain women, their presence when they entered a room. What was it about them? Why were some so magnetic? I realized a lot of it comes down to fashion and makeup tricks," end quote. At the age of 11, she actually met legendary British makeup artist Mary Greenwell on Formentera Beach, and Charlotte always points to this as the moment she realized makeup could be a real career. She tells a story of meeting her, saying, quote, "A pivotal moment for me was meeting Mary Greenwell, who was a friend of my parents. It was amazing. She was doing Vogue covers of Jerry Hall. It was the beginning of the supermodel era. This experience triggered my obsession with the psychology around beauty and empowerment. I wanted to understand why some women held a certain magic about them and how I could give that to others. Why just a special few? Beauty is a tool. Our feelings and thoughts become things. I've seen it in my chair a million times. Energy shifts. People become brighter, happier. It's very powerful," end quote. I agree, Charlotte. Then at the age of 13, she started wearing mascara and noticed how differently people treated her. In a lot of the interviews that I was researching, she tells this story a lot to explain why she's so big on makeup as confidence. So in one of these articles I read, she said, quote, "I instantly felt more confident, more attractive, and more empowered. I was always walking a path toward makeup artistry," end quote. And on that path, she ended up moving back to the UK for school as a teenager, and then later enrolled in the Glauca Rossi School of Makeup in London, which is still one of the big pro schools. This was on Mary Greenwell's encouragement, actually. And then after she graduated, she went on to assist Mary with editorial work, who, by the way, I found out was also the makeup artist to Lady Diana. So Mary knew some things. Charlotte says at this time, quote, "As a determined young makeup artist, I was persistent. I was constantly building my network of professional peers, including photographers, models, and stylists," end quote. This was around the early 1990s. Well, this was definitely her in real life learning period. This is when she's hauling her kits. She's, like she said, building her network. She's perfecting how she creates looks and learning how shows and shoots are actually run. And then by the mid 1990s, she wasn't just assisting. She was getting her own bookings in London, Paris, Milan, and New York, working on the same supermodel heavy shows that defined the 1990s beauty. So think smoky eyes, brown lips, perfected skin. Having worked up to 40 fashion shows a season, Charlotte has started trends on the runway of New York, Milan, Paris, and London, acting as show makeup director for brands like Prada, Alexander McQueen, Roberto Cavalli, Lanvin, and Chloe, among many others. She also began shooting for Vogue and other top titles, eventually racking up over 100 Vogue covers, collaborating with the industry's most well-regarded photographers, from Merton Marcus to Mario Testino. She eventually became the only makeup artist to have 3 simultaneous Vogue covers. So it was US Vogue, British Vogue, and French Vogue. And on top of that, they were all September issues. And then at the same time as working all these runway shows and shooting for Vogue and working in the editorial world, Charlotte also began working with industry leaders to create best-selling products and to actually launch entire beauty lines. So she began leading creative product development for brands, including Helena Rubinstein, MAC, Armani, Burberry, and Tom Ford. One example of this was in 2007, Charlotte collaborated with MAC and designer Alexander McQueen to create an exclusive 16-piece collection called MAC for McQueen. I am so upset that I didn't have this, that I missed this somehow. I don't know what I was doing in 2007, but I missed this. The range included a dirty pink rose lipstick, a white gold lip gloss, and creamy yellow, green, and sea blue eye colors, all with an Egyptian influence. So McQueen's 2007 collection took its inspiration from Elizabeth Taylor in the movie Cleopatra. So when Charlotte created this, she wanted to link that influence in with the makeup as well. All of this work from the beginning of her career up to the early 2000s ended up winning her some credible accolades, including the Fashion Creator at the British Fashion Awards in 2005 and the winner of Max Salutes Award for Lifetime Achievement in the fashion and beauty industry in 2009. Now, mind you, this is all before she started her own line. While she was creating these makeup lines for Armani, MAC, and Tom Ford, Charlotte knew that she'd create her own line one day, and that she was just practicing her skills working with other people. She said, quote, "People were always asking me about which product I used, but I couldn't give them a lot of specific products because a lot of them were mixes. I was mixing up things for the exact formulas I wanted, and the colors I wanted, and the harmonies I wanted. I wanted to make them, and when I would make my own makeup line, I'd be able to give away all of my secrets, tips, and tricks backstage," end quote. I hear this a lot from makeup artist brands, is that most of the products that they're coming up with are things that they felt were missing in their own kits or backstage or just in the industry in general. We talked about that in the NARS episode, and then I've also heard it from makeup artists like Lisa Eldridge, Zanessa Myricks. I've heard it from Makeup by Mario. All of those brands usually start from an idea of what they felt was missing. One of these secret formulas that people wanted to know from Charlotte would eventually become her infamous magic cream, which she began mixing up herself backstage. The models loved it, so did the crowds, and according to Charlotte, this is why it was originally created. Quote, "Magic cream was made for all the fabulous models doing New York, London, Paris, and Milan, who were working all day and all night, out until 5 a.m., big makeup, baby wipes, exhausted, stressed out, living life at the speed of light. Skin barriers weren't a thing back then, but still their skin barriers were so damaged. Magic cream gave you a gorgeous glowing skin in 28 seconds. I made it for those moments, but it's unbelievable under any makeup. It's all my work and expertise in a jar. It smooths, it blurs, it repairs, it hydrates. It's magic," end quote. Charlotte eventually launched her own YouTube channel and blog in 2012, offering everything from makeup tutorials and industry tips to celebrity looks. Her tutorial, the Feline Flick Cat Eye Makeup Tutorial, which has since become a trademark style of hers, has been viewed an incredible 6.6 million times. And her Amal Clooney's Wedding Makeup Tutorial, which demonstrates the makeup look that she created for Amal at her Venice wedding, is also still hugely popular. It has been viewed almost 3 million times. Don't worry, I'll link them both in the show notes. So finally, after it seems many people were asking for it, in September of 2013, Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Limited was founded, debuting its range at Selfridges in London. The brand's early success was obviously helped by her substantial following from her YouTube channel, but also her huge reputation in the beauty industry. She also launched with a 200 strong product line, which is wild. And basically, Khera and I get into like all of them later in this conversation. But this was a huge offering, and it offered a wide range of skincare and makeup items suitable for tons of different skin tones and shades and types. And Charlotte's aim was to beautify and improve skin with high quality formulas that didn't just look amazing, but also gave skincare benefits with ingredients you might only find in like your moisturizer or an anti-aging serum. Now, this seems really common now, but in 2013, I can't say that was a really big concern for most people for their makeup to have any kind of skincare in it. So this was a really big deal. The brand achieved critical acclaim and ended up having record-breaking results in the UK within its first year. And then only 1 year later, in 2014, Charlotte Tilbury Beauty entered the US market through high-end department stores like Bergdorf Goodman and Nordstrom, and then later expanded to online and retail platforms such as Net-a-Porter, Bloomingdale's, and Sephora. Oh, and that magic cream, it was sold out in 6 minutes during its North American launch. After 7 years of wild and continued success, in June of 2020, Charlotte actually sold a majority stake of the independent beauty brand to the Spanish group Puig for an estimated $1 billion. Get it, girl? Despite going into partnership with Puig, Charlotte remains chairman, president, and chief creative officer at Charlotte Tilbury Beauty, while also claiming a significant minority stake. And you still see her in social media ads, in really any kind of advertisement. She's still very present, very much the face of the brand. It reminds me a lot of Francois Nars in the same kind of being just as involved, but just not having that majority stake anymore, but still being heavily present in the entire process for the brand. So after the acquisition, the brand's revenue soared even higher, largely contributing to a 153% year-on-year growth in Puig's makeup category during the 2021 financial year. But in 2022, Charlotte Tilbury Beauty's revenue hit a peak of over 310 million pounds, or about $400 million US dollars, marking a 38% increase from the previous year. And it does not seem to be slowing down. So we'll end with a quote from Charlotte about her philosophy behind her brand. Quote, "I wanted to create a brand that was really disruptive and different, and really come up with something that empowers women to become the best versions of themselves through makeup. Because that's what I really clearly learned from a young age. Makeup is way more than just painting your face. It's not a face makeover, it's a mind makeover. It gives you confidence, happiness, and joy. It's the most wonderful gift that you can give to somebody. We live in an incredibly pictorial world in which human beings judge you and you judge yourself. When you look good, you feel good, and the world reacts in a very different way." End quote. All right, I am so excited to welcome the podcast's very first guest ever, makeup artist and beauty writer extraordinaire, Khera Alexander. Hi, Khera.
Hi, Sarah.
Oh, I'm so excited. We have been chatting for a good 40 minutes before we even press record.
Which we knew would happen.
We knew would happen. I absolutely love Khera. We met in a business group for freelance creatives, and I immediately loved her. And I asked her to be one of the subjects of an artist spotlight series where I interviewed her about her career and everything. So if you want more info on how she got to where she is as a makeup artist and beauty writer, I will link our Substack interview below. But I do want you to introduce yourself to everyone here. So feel free to let us know who you are, where you're from, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, first of all, I already said it, but thank you so much for having me on. This is really exciting for me to be a podcast guest, actually. And, I feel like as soon as we met, we just clicked, and I just really love that we've been able to stay in touch since we, met in that group. And I just love to see like what you've been able to accomplish, what you've done, the launch of this podcast. I love listening to it. I think you're so incredibly talented and amazing at what you do. So thank you very much for having me. So that's first and foremost.
Oh, okay. End of podcast. That's it. We're ending. No, I'm kidding.
But
Thank you.
For everyone who is, of course. But for everyone who is a listener, hi, my name is Khera once again. I am based in Toronto, and I'm a makeup artist, beauty writer, just all around like beauty lover. Just have been truly enthralled and passionate about the world of beauty ever since I was a young dancer. Basically, that's kind of where I got my start with having to do my own makeup for competitions and things like that. Little by little, graduated to being obsessed with buying magazines. I would spend all my babysitting money on magazines and makeup. And when I would get grounded, my caboodle was the first thing to go. But from reading magazines and always wanting to figure out how I get involved in magazines, whether it was being part of the team that creates a campaign or being the person who runs the magazine and writes the letter from the editor, I was always just super curious about those two aspects of the beauty industry. And so I pursued makeup for a few years. And then I decided to get my communications and media studies degree after about, I want to say, maybe 5-6 years working in makeup. At the time, I was working for a cosmetics company at the time. And after I got my communications degree, I was like, I really want to try my hand at being a beauty editor or something, just kind of see how I can get myself involved. I never quite landed a job in publishing, working full time, but also publishing had really changed by the time I was ready to start looking, and things kind of went digital anyway. So, I just wanted to see how I could get myself involved. I ended up pitching myself to a publication that I was a huge fan of. They said, yeah, why don't you write something and we'll see how that goes from there. And that was coming up on almost 6 years ago. So I've just been kind of like balancing freelance writing in the beauty space along with doing makeup. I do makeup for commercial, e-com, weddings. I do a little bit of celebrity anytime, TIFF rolls around in the city. And then on the writing side, I freelance for Birdie. I've written for the Zoe Report. I've written for Coveteur. And then I have a couple of content writing clients as well. So keeps me very busy, but I really do enjoy all that I do.
I don't think I've met a lot of other makeup artists who are also writers. It's like you're using two different sides of your brain. As a makeup artist, I would love to hear your perspective on Charlotte Tilbury Beauty. So, so I guess tell me first if you remember the first time you used her products and what your thoughts were.
I used a lot of MAC products, and because I had such an excess of product and I had so many different types of products, I wasn't really in the market to shop for anything for a while just because I had so much stuff already. I still do.
Right.
From MAC. So because of that, I was a little late to exploring a few different brands on the market by the time that I left. But when I finally did test out Charlotte Tilbury, I tried the, what's it called? The Flawless Filter.
Oh, yeah. The Hollywood Flawless Filter.
And that truly was like, holy smokes, that really blew my mind. It was the type of product I had been looking for to add to my kit for a really long time. Just the way it really accentuates someone's skin, the way it really brings out the best in someone's skin, and the way that it can be manipulated so beautifully, whether you wear it alone or you wear it with foundation or you add it on top of foundation, you know, all the different ways that you can use it. I really just found myself so impressed by it. And I was like, okay, so this brand seems to be right up my alley. This brand seems to be the type of brand that really aligns with the type of makeup that I like to do, which is very clean, very neat, but also glowy and fresh, and really trying to bring out the best in someone's skin, really enhance their skin's natural radiance. That is the kind of makeup that I like to do. And I found Hollywood Flawless Filter really elevated the look of a person's skin when I would use it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to pay more attention to this brand. I think there might be some products that I could use to my kit to really take my application from this level to the next level.
Totally. And I think like just looking at your portfolio, which obviously I will link below as well, or link in the show notes, my perspective is I feel like you're amazing at skin. Like the skin in your imagery, like it just looks so gorgeous. And so I can tell that you take a lot of pride in like how you like the skin to look. So a product like that, I imagine, just like you said, just kind of elevated it, especially with photography, right? Did you find that like her products worked editorially really well as like in person?
Yeah, beautifully. And I think that is something that I can say is one of the things that I like the most about the brand, where like as an artist, of course, you know, you can use a certain level of discernment for certain products in terms of, you know, what you want to apply, where you want to apply, how much you want to apply. But when you use it, it photographs so beautifully. And I think even when I look at the images for the campaigns that Charlotte Tilbury puts out for any new product launches and stuff, the way that the skin looks, the way that everything is so beautifully enhanced, editing aside, I think that really is just a credit to the products and the artistry behind the person who applied, you know, the product to the models. And so I think that is something that I really enjoy about the products. And whether you're a beauty enthusiast or complete novice or you're a makeup artist, like there is something that you can use with Charlotte Tilbury to really elevate your makeup look.
I think like one of the things that I have kind of a tug of war with her products, because I find them really beautiful, but then I'm always like, they're always kind of the same tones, like it's very pinks and browns, but then
something different.
But I also am like, but there is a reason why so many bridal makeups are Charlotte Tilbury products. Yeah, it just looks like so good on so many, every single bride I think I've seen, when I'm like, what's your lip? They're like, Pillow Talk. And I'm like, of course it is. Like,
of course it's Pillow Talk.
Yeah, like she's definitely, I'd say, one of the most cohesive brands I've ever seen from
Agreed.
Day one. Like she already does the thing really well. Have you ever felt when she comes out with a new release, maybe you're like, oh, I wish it would be like maybe a little more color? Or like, do you ever feel that way? Or as someone who uses makeup in their kit, like, do you like that she's kind of consistent like that?
You know, I think one thing the Charlotte Tilbury brand like does well and knows, like, I think they know their demographic so well. I think they have really zeroed in on who the people are that really, really, really are big fans of Charlotte Tilbury. And I think they zero in on that, and they just keep, you know, what's the word? Like they just keep doubling down on the product offerings that will work for that demo. And I very much am part of that demo. Because
yeah, me too.
I just, like me, like once again, especially with the type of makeup that I like to do on clients, it is very much aligned with the Charlotte Tilbury aesthetic in terms of that kind of like radiant, fresh, very like sexy skin. And I think when it comes to the colors as well, they're feminine, they're romantic, they're kind of wistful, they're kind of airy in a way, like the way that I would like describe a lot of the products that you can use. But they pack a punch still. Like the creaminess of the eyeshadows, the pigment that you can get from them, I think they're still really impactful. And I would say that is what the demo is looking for.
Yeah.
You know, they want that femininity, they want that sexiness, they want that radiance, but they still want the makeup to work. They still want the makeup to have pigment. They still want the makeup to be effective. And for the price that you pay for the Charlotte Tilbury products, yeah, like you want to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for. And I think they deliver on that. So I can't say that I wish that they would come out with certain things that are kind of like very far off from what they do currently, because I think what they do well, and they keep delivering that to us. Like, I would much prefer a brand that knows their demo, knows what works, knows like what it is that we would probably really be fans of,
right?
And to just keep doing that and doing it exceptionally well, as opposed to maybe trying to, I don't know, try their hand at a bunch of different things that may or may not flop.
People want good innovation. What people would rather have is the quality of the product and it being long lasting, it having good pigment payoff. People care, I think, more about formulas than they do about like shock value with color and things like that. I think now there's just so much out there that it's like, if you want a green eyeshadow, you can probably find it somewhere. Mm-hmm. But if you, when it comes to finding a brand that does quality consistently, like that's, I think, where people at this point would rather spend their money, is with maybe different innovations in formula versus like.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I think also the savvier we as consumers get, and I'm gonna, even though I do makeup, I'm gonna lump myself into that as well. I think the savvier we all get when it comes to beauty and knowing what it is that we want and being able to dial in on how we like to look, what kind of products we're looking for, what kind of formulas we want. I think we know, with the plethora of brands that are out there, we know which brands we can go to for what. Mm-hmm. And I think that is also the beauty of knowing what you do well and just keeping your main thing the main thing. And I think Charlotte Tilbury does a good job of doing that.
And just from your perspective as a makeup artist, because you obviously have to work on, you have to be ready to work on any skin tone, any skin type, being able to adapt your kit to create any look. Like you said, consumers are a lot more savvy. We expect a lot more from brands these days in terms of like pigment, in terms of just shade ranges, in terms of just like, which they should be held accountable for that. Do you feel that Charlotte Tilbury does that well in terms of like it being in your kit, knowing that you could find something for everybody? Or do you wish they did something a little different?
No, I actually do think so. One of the things that I love so much about Charlotte Tilbury is the shade options that they have available. I think, that I think for a really long time has always been a point of contention, especially for Black and brown customers who have been left out of the conversation from other brands for the longest time. But I would say currently today, as it stands, they have a lot of options for different people of different complexions, but also skin needs. So whether you have mature skin or you have dry skin, you have really oily skin, there is something for you. And I think it also depends on how you want your skin to look, that other supporting products can help you with that.
Right.
So that's something that I would say I really, really appreciate and enjoy about the brand for sure. And I have used products in my kit on multiple, different people of varying backgrounds. And I'm always pleased with how their skin looks. And, wearing products by Charlotte Tilbury, especially the complexion products, on myself too. I'm happy.
That's good, because that is something that we are trying to see more of in the industry. I think like it's frustrating when people are like these big brands are still not getting it. So I always like to kind of shout out the brands that are making that easier for everyone, consumer and artists,
And I think they do a good job of that. One of the complexion lines that I like so much is the Beautiful Skin Foundation. That has a stunning shade range, but also the concealer as well. I've used it on clients who have really, really rich skin tones, and it's stunning. So I think there is something for everybody. If you are a Charlotte Tilbury fan and you like the Charlotte Tilbury look, you can find something.
We know how you feel about the brand, but what do you think about the future of the brand? Do you see them continuing on the path that they're on? Do you think that they'll start kind of experimenting with, I know she came out with fragrance, I think this year. Like, where do you see the brand going?
I think, and I will just reiterate, I feel like I've said it a million times now, but I will just say, I think one of the things about Charlotte Tilbury that I think makes it a brand with true lasting power is that, once again, they know their audience. And I think I personally don't see their brand ever straying too far from what the audience would want. And even if you think about some of the recent product offerings that came out, or the launches that really just had the girls going wild, you know, the beauty wand, the beauty light wands that came out, when those came out, those were viral on TikTok. I waited forever to get my hands on one because every single time I would go to the website, they were always sold out. The contour sticks, you know, they were, I believe, the first brand to come out with packaging that looked like that. And then now you have other brands mimicking that packaging. So to be at the forefront of innovative formulas and packaging like these wands that came out that really did just kind of like shake so many of us to our core is something that I think is something that I think I can see the brand continuing to do.
Yeah.
One of the brand's most recent product offerings is a foundation stick that I actually became obsessed with, because you know how with a lot of the Charlotte Tilbury imagery, these girls just look so fresh and glowy, but not greasy. They really do look like they just have this like glow about them that almost looks like it came from within. That healthy skin look, you know, I wrote a review on that foundation stick, and truly I did not lie in anything that I said, because it really did just blow me away. It gave me the look that I wanted to have. It gave me a look that's similar to what you see in the campaigns, just that stunning radiance, that fresh skin. But also, as someone who personally doesn't really like to wear a lot of complexion products, at most I wear like a very medium coverage foundation. But generally speaking, I prefer something super sheer. It was perfect. That is something, once again, where they know what they're doing in terms of who this would work for, the type of people that it would work for. And so I think if they stay listening to their audience and they stay, you know, utilizing the feedback, utilizing what it is that we say in terms of when we really fall in love with something and delivering something similar to that, I don't see the brand stopping anytime soon. As it pertains to fragrance and kind of launching and maybe expanding, I could see it becoming, you know, it's like the House of Tilbury. Like I could see it becoming something where it's like all of your beauty and lifestyle needs within reason could be found at Charlotte Tilbury if this is the brand for you. So from fragrance, you know, to body lotion, to, you know, the makeup, maybe like hair perfume. Like these are things that I could see the brand creating if they haven't already, or if they're not already in the works of creating something that's similar to anything that I mentioned. And I wouldn't think it would be unusual for them. I wouldn't think that it would be far off for them to create something like that. So anything that they would have to offer as it pertains to that, I would be interested in.
And speaking of products, so obviously we have our little product chat. We already talked about Hollywood Flawless Filter. Obviously that made such a splash. The fact that she used the word filter, I think is really interesting, because I don't think we really use that word until social media. I don't know. I may like that kind of, do you remember like a time where we would say...
You might be onto something with that. I don't think I ever heard of anything using the word filter. And definitely, I think with the like advent of social media.
Yeah. I think it was Instagram.
It makes sense.
I think that was the first time for me, was when it was like, so she started her brand in 2013. Instagram was like 2011. I just remember the first time I remember hearing filter in the media sense was like changing your filter to like Valencia on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like that. The old days.
Valencia. Oh my God.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite
OG
Instagram
filter.
Yeah, that was my number one. So I think there's something in her naming that filter as well that really like made it such a big deal, because it was like, yeah, we all want to look filtered, but I think it's a lot of people's first introduction to her is that product. I think it was a game changer. So Hollywood Flawless Filter, obviously the contour wand, the foundation stick. I would say another iconic product is obviously her Pillow Talk lip lines at this point, right? Like I said, so many brides I've seen wear of different shades, different skin tone, like all of it. They all are wearing a form of a Pillow Talk. Have you used it in your kit? Have you like experienced it firsthand?
Yeah, absolutely. Pillow Talk, just the whole range. I think there's 3 separate shades for different complexions. The whole range is stunning, and it really is just truly like a perfect shade for all 3 shades. Like, it's just such a stunning color. It can make your look, it just really completes it, I think is what I'm trying to say. I think it really completes the look, and I think it shapes a makeup application so beautifully. So I think it does make sense that it's quite popular for bridal looks. But I will also say 2 other shades that I love to use in my kit by Charlotte. She has plenty of lipsticks, so I'm only singling these 2 out just because I use them so consistently, is the Sexy Sienna shade, which is this gorgeous peach, like corally type of color that is so stunning on different complexions. And then there's another shade that I love to use on women with like richer complexions. It's called the Walk of No Shame. And
love it.
Right? The name is so fun. But it's this beautiful kind of like neutral berry tone that's like a really deep color, and it looks beautiful on different complexions as well, but it is like one of my go-to lipsticks on a woman with a richer, deeper complexion. The Walk of No Shame is like this perfect kind of combination of a few different hues where their lips are so beautifully accentuated without it being too bright or too nude either. It's like a stunning neutral.
Are there any other iconic products you want to add to the list?
I would probably say give the Beautiful Skin Foundation a try, or the foundation stick a try. I think those are absolutely gorgeous. Now, when it comes to the Beauty Light Wand collection, or just like the wand collection in general, I would say those are iconic just because of how much of a frenzy it caused when they came out, and literally how friggin' insane that highlight was when you would put it on your cheeks. The shades themselves are so stunning. So even if you're like, you just want like a soft highlight, not something as thick or as hard as maybe we did it even 5 years ago, it's still a great product to try. Would I say it's a must try at this point? No. But a few years ago when it came out, yes. Is it still iconic though? Yes. Formula, innovation, packaging, to me makes it iconic. Another must have or must try is actually the setting spray.
Oh, okay.
If you have not tried the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, it has this beautiful like blurring effect to the skin, locks in the makeup really, really nicely. But what I love so much is that your skin is not too matte and you're not too glowy. And I find that can sometimes be the challenge with setting sprays, depending on what side of the spectrum it leans on. Whether you go with something that likes to give your skin some hydration or give your skin more of a glow, you at times may have to be really careful with how much you're using, because you can go from like glowy to greasy very quick, or you can go from like natural finish to like almost just like too matte, like super powdery looking, almost like if you make too many facial expressions your makeup will crack.
Like a hairspray feeling.
Yes, and I don't like that either. So that spray is fantastic. Another must try is the airbrush powder. So the airbrush flawless finish, okay, It comes in, I believe, 4 complexion shades, and then it also comes into like brightening shades. So depending on where you're at on the spectrum, there is something for you. That powder is no joke. That powder is also amazing if you have mature skin or you have dry skin, because it's not overly matte. It's meant to kind of like softly like blur over any imperfections. It gives your skin a really beautiful velvety look. It's a powder that's kind of like a topper where it just helps to like finalize your look and like the center of your face to really give you that velvety, smooth, fresh kind of look that Charlotte Tilbury honestly is known for.
Right. Yeah. I think that's like a really good example of the innovation that you're talking about, is that it's like these types of formulas that do something where you're like, is this magic or is it science? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
You want to respect looking like you have skin, but there is something really special about products that can find a way to just like do this thing that you're like, how is this scientifically working? Like, what is the product in here? And I do think she's led the way with a lot of that. Even in the last, like, she hasn't even been around, quote unquote. The brand hasn't been around for that long. And to come out with these kind of innovative formulas and products that are already iconic, I think, as well, is really impressive. I do think there's something to be said about a makeup artist brand. Like, I do think there's something very special about a brand that comes from someone who's been working in makeup for years and like knows exactly the product that they're like, I wish I had. There is innovation already with a makeup artist brand, I feel like. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And what I think so much is that when you see products that are kind of like the brainchild of a makeup artist, and you can see how each makeup artist has their own specific like makeup artist DNA, their own specific aesthetic, and the products also reflect that. I think Charlotte Tilbury is a great example of, she created products that fit with her own makeup style and aesthetic so well. If you think about Danessa Myricks, someone to me who is fearless when it comes to color, fearless when it comes to formulation, fearless when it comes to innovation, her products speak for themselves. In reference to all 3 things that I just named, right?
Right.
Makeup by Mario, another makeup artist. Clean, refined, classic. I would also liken his style kind of similar to some of the makeup artists of like the early 2000s and late 90s, where it's very clean and fresh, but a little less matte than those makeup artists of that era. But like his products, I think, also speak to that, but they breathe more life into the skin than, let's say, the makeup looks we were used to seeing in the early 2000s, right?
Right.
So those are just some examples where you can see that these people, they have a very specific style. They know what they like, and they knew what they wanted to see.
Right.
And they made it happen. They
made it. Yeah, no, I find that, like, I always feel like I trust a makeup artist brand before most. Like, I kind of trust like these people that have been working in the industry for a while, because I'm like, they've been thinking of that thing that they've wanted the whole time. And so just to kind of like wrap up our Charlotte, I guess, iconic products, but also just iconic, recently announced Canadian queen Celine Dion is her newest face.
Yes,
is like,
I saw.
Congratulations for Canada, because that's exciting.
That's a win for us.
That's a win for you guys. What are your thoughts on this?
I think one of the things I really liked about Charlotte Tilbury when it comes to their campaigns as well is that they do not exclude anyone in terms of like age or complexion. I think that is something that they do really, really well, but they still cast people, or they partner with people. In this case for Celine Dion, I think they still partner with people where it makes sense. She is a woman of a particular age. She is a performer, so, you know, in terms of it being aligned with Charlotte Tilbury partnering with people who are like major stars, you know, I think they do a good job of picking starlets that appropriately align with the brand. Like, I do think Celine is a star whose aesthetic now, especially as she is a woman of a particular age, I just feel like it makes so much sense to me just to see the way they have her hair styled, the way her makeup looks in the campaigns, like everything to me, I'm like, yeah, I could see it. I just see how it aligns with Charlotte so well, you know? They know who to pick.
Oh, well, also, is there anything else you want to add about our friend, our darlings, Charlotte?
I didn't have anything else to add. I think I think the Flawless Finish Powder, Magic Cream Setting Spray, Flawless Filter, and any one of the foundations, either the stick or the Beautiful Skin Foundation, are great options to work with. And of course, if you want to add a little color into the mix, Pillow Talk. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of the versions of that, but you can also try Sexy Sienna, which is one of my faves, or another one of my favorite, Walk of No Shame. Those can really, they can't steer you wrong.
Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing your thoughts and your opinions and your expertise. Yeah. I'm really excited to give your podcast a listen. What's the name of the podcast so we can be on the lookout for it?
So I am launching Swatched Podcast. It is a podcast about beauty and entrepreneurship and the intersection of pop culture. I'm really excited to just have it out there. I've been working on it for a little while, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with other beauty lovers and makeup artists and entrepreneurs in the beauty space. And I think it's also really important as a Canadian entrepreneur and as a Canadian podcast to have, just another resource out there for anyone who is looking for beauty news, beauty info, beauty entrepreneurship advice, but lives in Canada. So that is something that I'm really looking forward to sharing with people.
Awesome. Yeah. So definitely go follow Khera over on our Instagram. I'll link it below. She'll obviously tell us when everything launches. And you can check out the interview I did with Khera about her background and how she found her way into the beauty space. It's a really cool story. And I also want to give Khera a shout out also because during that conversation, we talked about e.l.f. and just like, this was way before they bought Rhode and like before they even became bigger since we chatted. And like the idea of this podcast kind of came out of that conversation. So I have to give Khera credit for just kind of like implanting the seed in my head to like maybe start this thing that seemed wildly, out of my wheelhouse. But I do want to give her credit because it really inspired me, our conversation. So thanks, Khera, for creating this in my brain.
Sarah, honestly, no, because what I'll say, and I really do genuinely mean it. My mom always says this to me, but I think it's something that I can say to you as well. Maybe our conversation may have inspired the thought to start the podcast, but I don't think it's out of your wheelhouse at all. And I think another thing too that my mom would always say is like, if you keep thinking about it or if it's something that you want to try, it's because the universe is telling you to go for it. So I just am very excited to see where it goes.
I can't wait to have you back. I know that we want to chat. There's a few other brands that we've talked about, having a chat about. So I am really excited to have you back, hopefully soon. And just appreciate you taking the time to chat and be on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, anytime. You can have me back anytime.
Anytime.
Anytime. I love talking beauty with you. I love just like nerding out together. So anytime you have something that you want to talk about or something on your mind and you feel like, hey, like I would love to have a person to talk this through with, I'm here. So
my favorite Canadian.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I hope that you enjoyed that chat with Khera. She has such incredible insights from just being able to use the products on so many different people, knowing how it works across different skin types and skin tones. I just really appreciate her insights and her knowledge. She is so good at what she does. So definitely make sure you check out her portfolio and also check out her writing work as well. And don't forget to go over to my Instagram to see some of those iconic products that we talked about. I'm really excited because the brand sent me some of the ones that I had never tried before that Khera mentioned. So we're going to like really get into it. I cannot wait to show you. And let's end today's episode with some fun facts about Charlotte Tilbury. In the chat with Khera, I mentioned how I noticed that Charlotte loves her pink. And while sometimes I might get a little bored of seeing pink and brown and kind of those same kind of neutral shades, when I was doing my research, I realized that there's actually a very thoughtful reason behind why Charlotte loves her pink. Here's what I found. She says, quote, basically, everyone looks pretty in pink. In old Hollywood, they would sometimes paint the walls in a soft pink. Marilyn Monroe was said to have loved that. Pink is so dreamy, it's universally flattering. Pillow Talk lipstick was all about this. I invented the shade because I was always looking at the pigment in people's lips and trying to bottle it, the pinky tone. I studied different skin tones and we democratized Pillow Talk for everyone as well. The lip liner and lipstick just make your lips look hot. We joke that when you're wearing Pillow Talk, you get what you want, end quote. Charlotte, I will be testing that out and I will report back. But I thought that was a really lovely insight into how an artist looks at different skin tones all day and is able to really hone in on the thing that they're missing and being like, no, I noticed that everyone has like this certain type of pink in their lips and I wanted to try and find that. And now I just have a lot more respect for like pink. All right, other fun facts. It'll be quicker. Charlotte was actually appointed a member of the Order of the British Empire, or MBE, in the 2018 Queen's Birthday Honors List for her services to the beauty and cosmetics industry. In December of 2023, Charlotte Tilbury received this Special Recognition Award at the Fashion Awards presented by Amal Clooney. This accolade honored her outstanding contributions to the fashion and beauty industries, including her work on over 180 magazine covers and more than 600 editorial and advertising campaigns. And Charlotte Tilbury Beauty became the first beauty brand and the first female-founded brand to sponsor Formula One's all-female division called Formula One Academy. So I'll end this episode with another great quote from Charlotte herself. Every woman deserves a man to ruin her lipstick, not her mascara. So those were the Chronicles of Charlotte Tilbury. Let me know, what do you think of the brand? Do you have favorites from it? Are you intrigued to try any based on Khera and I's conversation? Let me know your thoughts. And a special thank you to our treasured Khera Alexander for being the first guest on the Cosmetic Chronicles. Thank you so much. We're definitely going to have her back. Thank you for tuning in, and feel free to share some of the brands that you'd like to see covered on the podcast. Don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, and share. It really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time on the Cosmetic Chronicles.